Good day viewers, this is Video Fashion, and in today's tutorial I'll be learning how to cut straight skirts, pencil skirt, long pencil skirt. So please, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please share and subscribe. Thank you. The measurement I'll be using for this my pencil or straight skirt is waist 30, hip 40, then the long skirt length is 40 inches. Now I'll fold my fabric into two. I'll fold my fabric into two. This is the front side. I want to cut. So I'll fold my fabric like so. After doing this, the first thing I will do is to measure the length of the skirt, which is 40 inches. I'll measure the 40 inches. Then, for my folding allowance, I'll use 1.5. That's for folding and the joining. But in case if I want to use lining for the skirt that needs lining, let's say I'm using Ankara and I want to use lining to turn it. So this 1 inch is what I'll use to draw the lining up. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say there. So after that, I'll measure where I'll determine my hip length. I'll determine, because the hip of my client is 40, so I'll determine the hip length at 9 inches. 9 inches. Then I'll determine my knee length at 19 inches, depending on how tall the person is. And this hip length too, depending on how fat or how big the hip is. If the hip is close to like 46, 48, like so, you can use 10 inches. But because this person's hip is just 40, that's why I'm using 9. I'm determining it on 9 inches. So after that, I'll go back to I'll connect my lines. I'll rule it out. Then my heel length. What I will do now is measure my hip length. My hip length is 40. So if I should use my hip length here, my total circumference of the hip is 40. If I should use it, then chop my sewing allowance, which is 2 inches. The allowance here, the remaining fabric is too much, and I don't want to waste the fabric. So I will need to draw it back, just to manage the fabric so I don't waste my client's fabric. So I will still remeasure, still much. My hip is 40, then the 40 plus 2 will give me 12. And if you can see, what I'm getting here is more than the 12 I need. So it's just going to be a waste if I should measure the 12 like that. So now I've gotten 12. So I'll chop my hip, which is 40, that's 10 inches, then the sewing allowance, which is 2 inches. I'll go back to my waist. I will measure the waist 30, which is 7.5, then the 2 inches sewing allowance. This is just to manage the fabric. Then after that, I said my knee length. My knee length would be 40. That 40, my hip minus 2 inches. My hip is 40 minus 2 inches. That's 40. That's 38. So I will use 38 for my knee length. my new length is 38 divided by 4 because I divided all the other parts by 4. So I will still divide that new length by 4. So that will be 38 divided by 4, which will give me 9.5. 9.5 plus my sewing allowance, which is 2 inches. It is this 38 that will measure till the length of the skirt together. This is my normal sewing. This is my normal measurement rather, and this is my allowance for sewing, which is 2 inches. I'll connect my lines. You can see. Joined my lines together. This particular side, the way I determined my hip, you can see that the shape is sharp and we don't have sharp shape in our hip. So now, if you have your French cuff, you can use it to shape this particular side. But in case of those of you that don't have, so you just puff it out. Just give it a puff shape. You can see the way I'm trying to puff it out. Just give it a puff shape. It's not as if it's hard to do. You can use your hand. Then every other part is okay. So the next thing now is to put our dart measurement. And to determine our dart, we use our nipple to nipple measurement, which is the nipple to nipple measurement in this one is 7. And I'll divide it now. You will need to do, you put that in your straight skirt. So to do that, you will use your nipple to nipple measurement, like my client phone now is 8. So the nipple to nipple is 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So I've chalked out the 4. Then while doing your dart, you remove half on both sides. You can see it's going to give you a triangular shape, half here, half here. Then you go down by 4.5 inches. Chalk it out. Then you give it a, like I said, a triangular shape. You slant it from the half to connect to the 4.5 inches. You can see how I did it. And when you are sewing, you sew like this. So that's for the front view. And also, sorry, if you want to do the front side, you come down here by ½ inch. Come down here by ½ inch. Just slant it. So. That's for the steps. Then you launch the needle, launch it so that when you are joining, you will not make mistake of the middle part. So this is our straight, the front part. Then I want to cut the back side now. After cutting my front part, I placed it back on my fabric, the remaining fabric. Then I chalk out my zip allowance. So after the zip allowance, I use 2 inches for my zip allowance. So after the zip allowance, I'll just cut out the front that I placed on it. I'll just cut it out like that. I don't need to remeasure it since it's still the same measurement. It's just the zip allowance that is different. So I'll cut it out my back side. So the next thing I will do now is the hip and the half legs. I mean the hip and the heel length is what I'm going to be explaining now. On the hip measurement, I'll go in. On the heel measurement, I'll go in by 1 inch. Then slant it and connect it to my hip measurement. You can see the way I do. The purpose of doing this is just to give your backside shape shouldn't just go down straight like that. Your buttocks will be able to at least come out when you wear this type of shape. You can see the way I'm cutting it. Then I will notch out my zip allowance. This is everything. Let me show you the full. So this is the front. And this is the back. So here, this one. Okay. This side. This is the slit side. So it each other. Try to be like this. My zip allowance, I'll measure my dart from that, where I notch for the zip allowance. I'll measure the same way I measured for the front. I'll measure my 4 inches, then come down by 4.5 again, connect it. Then I will remove half here like this. Then I'll remove half here too. Then connect everything together to give me triangular shape. So that's all.